Good evening. You're watching In Your Interest. I'm Shweta Kothari. The central government recently approved the Unified Pension Scheme, or UPS. Under UPS, the government guarantees pension to government employees in which, after working for 25 years, 50% of the basic salary will be given as pension. The pension amount will be 50% of the average basic salary drawn in the last 12 months prior to retirement. Now, at the same time, employees who have worked for at least 10 years will also be entitled to a monthly pension of 10,000 rupees. After the death of the pensioner, employees 60% of his or her pension will be given to the family members. The scheme will benefit about 23 lakh employees of the central government, and if the state government employees are to be also included, then there will be about 90 lakh beneficiaries of UPS. But what about private sector employees? There are about 5 crore people employed by private companies in the country, in India in particular. What are their options? How can they get a minimum guaranteed pension? And is there a case for UPS to be extended to private players? We're discussing all of that. Joining us on the show is Renu Maheshwari, co-founder Finscholarz Wealth Managers. With me is my colleague Krishna Kumar. Before I go to Renu, Krishna, this is an important conversation. You and I are private employees, so I think all of us tomorrow want to be assured of what really happens to us. We don't have any guarantee of any pension. Whatever we contribute comes by the way of either a PF contribution or an NPS contribution, which is voluntary on our part.
Right.
So what happens to our job security and safety after our retirements?
Well, that's the big question for this entire, last 2-3 generations of working people, especially with the moving away of government jobs, the preference or the obsession with government jobs, which used to exist about 4 decades ago, 5 decades ago, to now literally overwhelming majority of the jobs in the country belong to the private sector. And this is a question that affects the overwhelming majority of the workforce here in India. And it's interesting that we are discussing the UPS as a possible, solution to all our, post-retirement financial fears. And we're having the conversation simply because of the fact that, overall, it has been largely agreed upon that the UPS is an improvement on the NPS.
Right.
It doesn't necessarily disrupt the NPS, but it just improves upon it. The indexation benefit and the fact that they give out these lump sum payments, all of these are extremely attractive features for all of us trying to look for a good financial instrument to put our money in. I mean, we have our doubts on, should I take that lump sum money, put it in a mutual fund? Do I put it in a fixed deposit because they are back in fashion? Or do I put it in gold? For the long run, for our nest egg, so to speak. So the UPS, the fact that it's calling out to the private sector itself is extremely interesting, Shweta.
All right, Krishna, thank you very much for setting the ball rolling as far as our conversation on whether UPS should be extended to private players or not. But Renu Maheshwari also joining us on the show. Renu, good to have you back. The last time you and I were discussing, we were in fact talking about how the government seemed to have moved away from fixed pension to fixed contribution, while the UPS is it's more comprehensive. Come to think of it, it has the benefits of the UPS, NPS, and has the benefits of the OPS when it comes to fixed pension. But there is also now it stands to believe that states may not adopt it. Is there any clarity that you have right now whether states are going to adopt it? So are we looking at therefore a bigger number of people who would come by the way of beneficiaries from 23 lakh to 90 lakh employees?
What I have read, I do not have any other information except that Maharashtra state is the only one which has adopted it as yet. I personally don't have any information whether they will do it or not. See, all those government decisions are decided so much by, not purely by objective financials, but by so many other factors beyond my pay grade. So I'm not going to do a double guess on that who is going to do it and who is not going to do it.
In which case, we know that there is, of course, a political division, of course, when it comes to pension on whether a state is ruled by the BJP or not ruled by the BJP right now. I want to directly jump into the conversation that we're having, and that is, what about private players? Now, I've been doing my reading, and I'm sure a lot of other people who are either going to retire at some point in time or haven't really got a government job at all, also wonder, what about our job safety? What about our security, especially after we have retired? What are the current existing schemes that private employees have that they can, go for, apart from EPS and I believe some contribution to the tune of about 14%, which is tax-free, allowed under NPS? Is there an option for government employees to obviously have UPS, but is there an option for private players to also perhaps have NPS and any other scheme that is available to them? Can UPS be extended to them?
See, UPS getting extended to private sector, I have my doubts on it. The UPS is being subsidized by the government, right? So they are contributing 18.5%. If the private sector starts doing it, so it'll still be part of your CTC. So that means 28.5% of your salary is going for your retirement benefits. Then your take home goes down. Would the private sector be able to attract employees with that kind of a take home? That's a question mark. A lot of private players subscribe to the minimal EPF and not even the statutory EPF. So I think that is a big question mark. If we come to the question of how the private sector can ensure a secure retirement, the good news is that the market is growing. As per my calculations, NPS will still make better money than UPS, and your retirement might be better off in NPS, provided you do a right asset allocation. So asset allocation becomes the most important thing, even in retirement, in the statutory retirement benefits. What should the private sector employees do? Start saving for your retirement the day you start earning for it, right from day one. So you fill up your EPF, your employees provident fund. If your company offers NPS, grab it, take it. Don't leave that and thinking that, and don't keep comparing its performance with mutual funds. That's a wrong comparison. NPS with a good asset allocation will make much, much more than any other retirement scheme. Make sure you invest in equity for a long term. And that's the only way to be able to secure your retirement. I'm reiterating these numbers, which I've been talking about for a while now. You're going to be working for 25 years, maximum 30 years, and you have to live off that money for next 30 years.
Okay.
With inflation.
All right. And so let's say a company does not really offer provision for NPS. Then what are the chances, apart from EPF, that a private person like me, who is in a private job, should go for? What can we do to secure our future?
Yeah, so even if your company doesn't give you NPS, open your own NPS account. And start contributing to that. And that will come under your ATC benefit, just like any other EPF and any other investment. Even if your EPF and other things are taking care of your 1.5 lakh of ATC, whatever you invest in NPS, it's still coming to you tax-free. Okay. Only 40% of that money goes into annuity, 60% of the corpus is still tax-free, and it still makes sense. So if you're in private sector, use NPS. Even if your company is not giving it, you can make additional investment in that. And for a smaller amount, 50,000 still gives you additional tax benefit under Section 80 CCDB 1B. So take take advantage of that and invest regularly in equity. Don't want to make it complicated, just put it in index fund and it will give you better retirement. But maintaining discipline is the most important thing. What is happening with all of these retirement schemes is, being a statutory fund, it just gets deducted from your salary and you never consider it part of your income. And then your expenses and everything is all planned around that. And that gives you a good corpus when you retire. And of course, there are tax benefits.
I have a lot of questions from you. I only have a couple of minutes, Renu. You said something very interesting. You said that if UPS were to be extended to private employees, their take-home salary will decrease and they may not like it very much because, when it comes to financial planning, planning, and when it comes to savings for future, and your current income is decreased, you don't find any value in it, at least in the interim. You may find value in it once you retire. But my question is it going to be also therefore a big burden on the government exchequer? Because right now with 23 lakh employees, government will have to shell out about 6,500 crore rupees, and if this were to be extended to 5 crore employees, that bill will multiply into thousands of crores. Is that even possible? Can India ever look at a UPS like scheme to be extended to private employees?
If ever it is extended to private employees, it will have to be funded by the private sector. It cannot be funded by the government. See, if you look at it in the past, there were few companies who were giving defined benefits to their employees at retirement. Not happening anymore in any of the corporate bodies. Can the government do it? I doubt. They cannot afford to do it, is my answer to it. If it has to be extended, it has to be extended by the private sector.
All right. Interestingly, Krishna, of course, if it has to be extended, the burden will have to be borne by the private sector. That's the last word coming in as far as what are the options for private employees like you and me as far as our safety of our future is concerned. Renu Maheshwari, thank you very much, ma'am, for joining us, for all your inputs on that story.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.